All right, so continuing on with getting connected. Dial-up connections use regular phone lines. Dial-up is very, very slow and costs you like 10 to 30 bucks a month. Okay. Broadband connections include cable, DSL, and fiber to the home. So that would be like your fiber optics. Okay. Cable internet is offered through your cable TV provider, and that one has speeds from like 1 to 150 megabits per second. DSL, that's digital subscriber line, uses telephone lines to carry digital signals at an average speed of about 384 kilobits per second up to 20 megabits per second. And then fiber to the home, fiber optic is the fastest broadband option with top speeds of like up to 500 megabits per second. So pretty exciting there. Okay. All right, so we know where the internet came from. We know how to connect to the internet. So how do we navigate through the web? I'm sure you have lots of experience doing this, but let's cover it. Maybe it'll give you some terms you didn't have before. Okay, there's two ways to navigate to a website, either by typing in the URL, which stands for Uniform Resource Locator, and that's the web page address, or you can follow hyperlinks that are embedded in the web pages. So what is a URL? URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. Okay? And when we talk about websites, they're composed of many different web pages, so each of which is a separate document along with its own unique URL. Okay? So like here, for example, if you go to NewYorkTimes.com, that's one URL. Okay? If you click onto the crossword, it takes you to a whole different URL. You can see that the address is different if we were to, get rid of this. Oops. But anyway, we need to come to the slide anyway. So this URL is composed of several different parts. Okay. When you only request a site's homepage, so again, going back to www.nytimes.com, that means you're only requesting the site's homepage. Okay? Sometimes you're going to see this / followed by additional text. And this stuff follows the domain name. Okay, this is called the domain name. And the information after each slash indicates a particular file or path within the website. But again, these are still, this whole thing is a completely different web page than just NewYorkTimes.com. So I hope that point is going across. If you need clarification on it, please let me know. Okay. So let's talk about the parts of a URL. Okay. These are probably things that'd be good for you to learn the labels of. Here we have HTTP:// okay, // That is our protocol. That's the set of rules the internet follows when you are visiting web pages using this protocol, HTTP. This stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay. This next part, www.nytimes.com, is your domain name. Okay. You could break this part down even further and just look at the .com part. And that's your top level domain. Okay. Since we see there's a / here, we say, okay, something follows that. Anything that follows after the top level domain is your path or your subdirectory. Okay? So these are all important parts of a URL. But if you didn't know, you don't have to type everything in. Okay? So if you go to a website, you don't have to type in HTTP:// www. I mean, probably if you just type in NYTimes, you could just press enter and it will locate the website for you. You could do nytimes.com, do the same thing. Okay, so you don't need to type all of this stuff in. That's just a little helpful hint. Okay, so like I was telling you, HTTP is a protocol. Okay, and That's the protocol that allows files to be transferred from a web server so that you can now see it on your computer. Okay. The entire web is based on this type of protocol, in HTTP. It's the most common protocol that's in use. HTTP is part of the Internet Protocol Suite, which is a group of protocols that govern how information is exchanged on a network. There's several different types of protocols. Another one would be FTP, that stands for File Transfer Protocol. This is often used when you have large files that you need to upload or to download. BitTorrent, this is a protocol that's used to transfer files, although it's not officially part of the Internet Protocol Suite. And BitTorrent uses peer-to-peer networking system. Okay, more good stuff here. So let's talk about web addresses and website names and things like that. Okay. If you hear me talk about ICANN up here at the top, that stands for the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. And what that does is it coordinates the Internet naming system by making sure that every single name is unique. Okay. What I mean by that is that every single website name has to be unique. Like, there cannot be two websites with the exact same name. That's not going to work. Okay, so what ICANN does is it checks to make sure that that name doesn't already exist, and okay, now, yes, you can use that as your name. Okay. IP addresses. Every single time you connect to the internet, your computer is assigned a unique identification number. And this number is called an IP address, or an Internet Protocol address. Okay. It's 4 sets of numbers separated by periods. So, for example, 123, period 45, period 245, period 91. Okay. And we commonly refer to that as a dotted quad or a dotted decimal. Okay. DNS stands for Domain Name System. And this is the service that allows you to use a friendly name instead of the actual IP address to access a website. So what do I mean by that? The way it used to be is that there wasn't names like Amazon.com or whatever. Okay, instead it was an IP address. So you would have to remember a set of numbers like the ones I just told you. Okay, 4 sets of numbers separated by periods, and that's what you would enter in up in your address bar. And they said, okay, this is not going to work out. People aren't going to like this, and we need to change it. And that's when they came up with the domain name system. So basically, it just provides a nice friendly name for you to remember instead of an actual bunch of numbers, an IP address. Okay. The company Dyn, it's D-Y-N, they suffered an attack a few months back. And it's one of a few companies that actually runs the domain name system. Okay. And once it was attacked, then, okay. Sorry for my pause there. I had to sneeze. Okay. But anyway, the company suffered this distributed denial of service attack. And since they're just one of a few companies that runs the domain name system, a lot of major websites started having trouble, including Spotify, Twitter, and Netflix. So it shows you that anyone can be vulnerable to certain attacks. I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so going back here to the URL domain name, what the domain name does is it actually identifies the site's host. So that's the location that's maintaining the computers that store the website files. Okay. The suffix in the domain name after the period is called the top-level domain. So, for example, www.usa.gov or www.whitehouse.gov or www.nmhu.edu. Okay, that .edu, that .gov, those are top-level domains. And what they do, they just basically describe what type of site you're visiting. So it's good to pay attention to those. to make sure you're actually at the site you want to be at. So don't go to like nmhu.com because that's not the correct address. Okay, you want to see that edu afterwards. If you're looking at government websites, you want to see that .gov at the end. .org typically can mean like non-profit or not-for-profit, but sometimes I see it used in other places as well. Okay, so pay attention to what the URL is that you're actually looking at. Okay, so like I've said a couple times now, the web is just these series of links that connects you to different websites. Text that operates as a hyperlink appears in a different color, usually blue, but can be all different colors, and usually it's underlined as well. Okay, but sometimes even images can act as hyperlinks. So this is just a little table showing you ways to navigate the web. Okay, hyperlinks here, like I was just talking about. Okay. Click on one of these, it's going to take you to a different part of this web page. This one here in blue is telling you that's the one that you're currently located. The one that you're currently looking at, okay? Because when you come up here and look at the URL, you're going to see executive-summary, okay? And here's executive summary, so you know that's the one you're looking at. Breadcrumb trails. Sometimes sites provide these little breadcrumb trails, so like the story of Hansel and Gretel, where they left little breadcrumbs as they walked off into the woods, okay, so they could find their way home. That's the same idea here. You start off here, and in your woods here would be SBA.gov, and you drop a little trail, a little breadcrumb here on starting and managing a business. Drop another little breadcrumb at starting a business. Drop another little breadcrumb at create your business plan. And then it shows you where you're at, your executive summary. So if you want to go back, you can just click here. Maybe you want to go back to starting a business. You click on starting a business. Okay. So this is called the breadcrumb trail. You'll see that now that's been pointed out to you, you'll probably see it more often than before. Okay, back and forward buttons, another way to navigate. Favorites, of course. This person wanted to make this website their favorite, so they clicked on the star, and now it's added to their favorites. And there's other ways to add to your favorites. It'll give you options if you want to put it in like a specific folder, things like that. Okay, and then of course history list. You can have your history set up to show like your entire history forever, or you can have it clear your history every time you close your browser. But a history is another way of getting around. So maybe you forgot to take note of a certain website you'd been looking at and you were pretty interested in it. Maybe it had something relevant to your research you were doing. If you can't remember, oftentimes you can come click in your history and then search through what you've looked at, and then it's very helpful because you can find that website again. Okay. Smart searching. Search engines are these massive databases, okay? And what they're doing all the time is indexing the web. So they're constantly gathering new information that's popping up on the web because new websites are coming out all the time, okay? And so they need to be keeping track of those. Search engines send out this software that they call spiders or bots. And what the spiders do is they crawl the web. Isn't that cute? And they gather information, which is then indexed and added into the giant database. Okay? Because the web is constantly changing, this method helps search engines stay up to date. Okay. Advanced search tools help you refine your keyword searches by filtering to include or exclude certain types of results. Right, so like I just popped up here for you. If you've not used these tools, you should, because they're very helpful. For me, say I'm looking up stuff for technology, I need stuff that's relevant, okay? I don't want all the results to pop up. Oftentimes I'll come and I'll type in my search up here, and then I'll use this tool, and I'll say I just want the results from the past month or from the past year. You can come in and create your custom range, okay? Do I want all results that it pulls up, or do I want just the verbatim? Do I want only the results that say exactly this, not something that may have something afterwards or something to add to that, okay? And then clicking here on tools, get search settings. You can look for different languages. You can turn on safe search, hide private results. It shows your activity. Okay, so there's lots of different things you can do with your search engine.